Partisans operating with the 1st Canadian Corps hunt for German stragglers left behind our advance. They check the papers of all civilians traveling through the Canadian area. Working very closely with the Canadian Provost Corps, they give them valuable assistance. As co-belligerents, they perform many tasks which relieve our forces for combat duty. They're all tough hombres, as Jerry is finding out at his cost. A partisan patrol is briefed before setting out on a job. The task is to clear a certain ruined area of German snipers. Some of the Italians bringing their wives to join in the hunt. Night patrols sneak through enemy lines to gain information. Day patrols augment the knowledge by moving into positions to keep an eye on Jerry. At the briefing area, arms of all kinds are handed out. The men are expert in the use of every small arm, from a Sten to a stiletto. Very seriously, they go about the task of exterminating their ex-allies. Partisans quote Jerry a page from his own book. By their valor and efficiency, they're fast changing the status of Italy from a co-belligerent to a trusted ally. In Italy, Gradara Castle, a real medieval bandit outpost, receives a visit from a party of Canadians on leave. The colorful history of the place is immortalized in Dante's Inferno. Early in the 13th century, the Malatesta family moved in after tossing out the previous occupants. They turned the castle into a veritable fortress. Shortly after, on a dark and stormy night, the hunchback husband of Francesca de Rimini came home unexpectedly. Discovering his charming lady in a rather embarrassing situation with his own brother Paolo, he up and cut a slice of both their gizzards. An altar dating back to the 6th century and a 15th century terracotta bas-relief are examined with interest. The Germans must have been right at home in the torture chamber. The old WAP gangsters couldn't teach them anything about uncomfortable implements. The trap door through which Francesca's boyfriend tried to escape was the cause of his downfall. It seems his nightshirt got caught in the lock. On occasions such as these, the procedure is be nonchalant and wear pajamas. By 1486, the Malatestas had made the country too hot to hold them. They sold out to John Sforza and made a strategic retirement. Johnny's second wife was the potent female Lucrezia Borgia. Lucy's pastime was putting cyanide in the Spam. Strange, with all the monkey business that went on in the castle, it was never taken by storm until 1944. Then a Canuck division chased out Marshal Kesselring, writing another stormy chapter to the history of Gradara Castle. Thanks to paratroops who preceded our advance, the road from Grava to Nijmegen is completely undamaged. A main artery built for speed, it carries a large bulk of supplies to forward units. Canadian-made highway signs tell their own story. Tons of ice torn away from the frozen banks of the River Ball threaten the safety of our Bailey bridges. To smash the icy surface, charges of 808 are prepared by the Royal Canadian Engineers. Explosives are also used to mine the bridge. In case the ice piles up around the pontoons, the bridge may be blown into small pieces to release the ice jam. This ensures the safety of other bridges farther down the river. In the thick ice, holes are punched to submerge the charges. The exploding of the charges breaks the ice into small bits which flow harmlessly past the pontoons. Vital bridges are saved by the work of the RCE. 25-pounders are used to fire the headlines across to Jerry. The truth from the free peoples of the world is tossed over for digestion by the enemy. The smoke canisters are removed from a shell. In their place, rolls of news sheets are substituted. When each shell explodes, 200 leaflets are scattered far and wide without damage to the paper. This new way of delivering the morning paper is the task of the propaganda unit. A branch of No. 3 Public Relations Group, it works closely with field artillery units. Like most morning papers, the delivery is usually made at night. When Jerry wakes up in the morning, he's able to read the real war story, uncensored by the Gestapo. An Ontario infantry unit prepares for an assault on the ferry landing island of Capelle-Sévère. Used by the enemy for frequent attacks on the 1st Canadian Army, it presents a serious threat to operations. Tough enemy paratroops have been given orders to hold at all costs the base, which is 5 miles from the mouth of the Meuse. During the month, 2 attacks have been repulsed by the enemy. The third and final assault gets underway. Even the North American canoe becomes an instrument of war in Canadian hands. Canoe commandos form one arm of the double-pronged drive on the island. With their small arms in the bottom of the canoes, clad in snowsuits for camouflage purposes, they close in on their objective. Heavy smoke screens are laid down to mask the main attack. An excellent smoke plan keeps the island completely blanketed during the crucial period. Heavy mortars firing both HE and smoke add their staccato chords to the crescendo of destruction. After 5 days of vicious fighting, the Germans are driven from their last bridgehead south of the Meuse River. Capelle-Sévère falls to Canadian arms. Meanwhile, in the Dodevard sector, specially camouflaged tanks maneuver into position for assault on German strongpoints. White paint jobs screen them on snowy backgrounds. Supporting British infantry, they clean out a group of factory buildings. At a range of 500 yards, targets of opportunity are engaged by the guns. Flame-throwing tanks follow up to burn individual snipers from their slit trenches. Through smoke and flame, the 1st Canadian Army inches steadily forward as the island hopping continues on to the Rhine.